Hi friends, Keith again from Cutlass Boardgames. Today I wanted to record something a little bit different from the other content that I've been doing. A lot of stuff that I make is like, hey, here's a thing I made. This is going to be a bit more of like a tutorial or a, hey, this is something I've been doing, and maybe if you incorporate it, it'll help with what you're doing. And what inspired this is I actually saw a clip from a streamer that I like, Ludwig, where he was like, this is what you have to do to be a good Twitch streamer, right? And you know what? I'm just gonna play the clip.
There is one thing that I've done that will always work. It's tried and true. This is the #1 thing you need to stream to make it big. The Yoink and Twist, baby. What everybody else is doing. That's right. Yes, you do not have to rewrite the entire playbook. We do not need a New Testament. We're good. Jesus got it down the first time. Yoink and Twist.
And so, Yoink and Twist probably isn't how I'd word it. I've talked a lot about remix culture before. I've actually written articles about it, remix culture in game design and stuff like that. And this is pretty similar. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the content that you see is an existing concept that you're familiar with, so it's not a whole brand new thing. But they've changed something. They're like, okay, this is a thing, but I fixed this one bit, or this was bugging me, and then I recreated it again. The example that I really like for this is Blood on the Clock Tower. Stephen Medway, the creator, sees werewolf and goes, yeah, look, there's some things about this that I don't like, and then designs Clock Tower with the intention of fixing those things. Like, for example, removing player elimination as a major factor and giving everyone feeling like they have more agency in the game and stuff like that, which has obviously worked out well for them. And so this is a kind of a concept that I'm always really mindful of when I'm creating something, where when you come up with your initial pitch or your initial brief for what a product is, you go, okay, what's the underlying concept that exists? Because pretty much you're not going to be inventing a whole new mechanic 9 times out of 10. Like, pretty much everything has been done in some way before, but your job is to find a unique, different interpretation of this, right? And a project that I just started, I was just thinking about, and that's what inspired me to make this video, is I started making a video game. And in the video game, you're a detective, and you're interrogating one of 2 suspects. You choose which one you want to talk to, and you're interrogating them. And the goal is to find out certain pieces of information about a particular crime that happened. They're both present at the event. You're trying to figure out which one of the 2 is the murderer, but you're also trying to get out the key details. Now, this overall theme was inspired by a Netflix TV show that came out kind of recently, which is a bit more of an ad-lib, but at the end of every episode, the chief shows up and the chief goes, okay, who did it? You know, what was the person that did it? And then the special guest has to run through the different things that they think was the cause for them to pick that person as the culprit. Now, this was really interesting to me as a way to make a video game, because and using the engine that I use, basically you can have the player type in whatever they want, and then if that matches what the randomly generated answer was going to be, if they're like, chief is like, what was the murder weapon, and they type in brush and it wasn't a brush, then the chief's like, what the hell are you doing, you know what I mean? But if they type in gun and it correctly was a gun, then the chief's like, okay, and then, you know, what's the next thing, until the last bit they collectively identify who the murderer was or whatever, and then you win the game, right? Now, in hearing this, you're probably already thinking in your head, hang on, that sounds a bit like Cluedo, where you're trying to identify the person, you're trying to pick the location and the murder weapon and stuff like that. And I had this in my head as well, and I was like, okay, it's going to have that same kind of thing. You're going to be trying to find what those moments are, you know, what those key items in the story are going to be. And then I kind of shifted my design towards that now being a main inspiration, right? So I go, okay, I now know that I've got this first piece of the detective TV show. I know what my end game scoring piece is. And now I also now have Cluedo, which tells me how, or what those 4 things are, you know, how we're gonna encounter them, and then how we're gonna figure out what those things are. And so it's now really interesting because it's basically recycled, but in a different way. Like Cluedo is you are trying to solve a murder, but it's not a dialogue focused game, it's a mechanical focused game. And then what I'm doing now is a dialogue. You're like listening to the person. You're like, okay, maybe I don't believe this, or I don't believe that, and maybe it is a gun or whatever. And then so it's taking it in a new direction. And that's the yoink, and now the twist. And I think that is something that a lot of people can be mindful of. You can take an existing game, you go, you know what, I really like this thing. I really like this, but I want to change one thing, and then I would like it more. You know what I mean? Now, this is kind of what I did with my first game, Castles of Caleira, where the gameplay is very similar to Love Letter. You have the 18 cards, you have 2 cards in your hand, you're playing one, it has an effect, right? But the major difference is, rather than you're holding onto your one card and hoping that it's the one that wins you the game, you're building a tableau of cards in front of you to build a castle, right? So not only does that match the new theme of the landscapes better, but it matches with the new kind of gameplay, right? And you can, now that we know that we're building a collection of things, we can then go, oh, what other mechanics work well with it? Oh, set collection. Okay, now I have this. I know I have this mechanic that fits in with the new style and stuff like that. And then so you can kind of see how it falls together. Once you've built that underlying concept of what you know the cornerstone is, you go, okay, I really like this game. This game is a big inspiration to me. I'm gonna try and build something like this, and then you find out what the twist is that you want to do. You're like, I really like this game, but this one particular part really bugs me. So you rebuild it and you change this one thing, and then you go, oh, okay, now with this new change that I've thought of, this unlocks other new possibilities for me, and then you are now building a product. So you add your new theme to it and all this kind of stuff, and you're building a whole new experience. And a lot of the time the end product resembles nothing of the original inspiration, but people that have played other stuff, or people that have played stuff that has been inspired by will have the underlying transferable skills and understanding how a game functions. Like anyone that's played Magic the Gathering will know how resource allocation and stuff like that, and managing a hand and all these kind of little things that a card game normally does that something like poker would not do. When they go and play something else and someone is like, oh, you exhaust this by turning it sideways, and they're like, yeah, I've done this before, It's the same kind of thing, where you go, okay, my game's kind of like Cluedo. It's like, oh, shit, I've played that before 100 times, And then they go, okay, so I know I'm looking for these objects, right? And then the same goes for a lot of other games, and like a lot of micro games, for example, going back to Castles of Caleira. They're like, okay, the deck's really small. I know that we're going to be sharing cards. I draw my thing, I play my thing. That's the whole thing. Oh, the game ends because the deck's run out, or whatever, or a player's been eliminated, or stuff like that. So it's interesting to see other things, other things in the world, like people talking about and making content for streaming, like the Ludwig clip I had earlier, where they go, hey, this is how we make stuff that resonates with an audience. And then me, a board game designer, goes, yeah, that's how you make stuff that resonates with an audience, but it's a physical product now, or it's a digital product, it's something that the players play, so that's kind of what's been on my mind. I want to start doing a bit more kind of a blog tutorial-y kind of series like that for the channel. I've been focusing really hard on getting my YouTube channel back up and running, and I'm hoping you guys are liking the new content that I'm making. I'm doing some stuff that is working with my Twitch channel, so that if you're enjoying that, make sure you go and throw a follow down on that. And hit that like and subscribe button. I know all the big guys, there were a million subscribers or whatever, go, hey, make sure you click the button, and you feel like it doesn't mean anything to them. But I got like 10 people that subscribe to my channel, and every single one time I get that notification of once a year, I get really excited. So make sure you hit that button, because it makes me very happy. And thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you in the next video.